a little too much, I felt like, for us to handle looking back. We did not approach it the right way. This year, the expectations are different, and I think that's added a completely different element to our off-season training and our preparation. It's put a chip on our shoulder. And it's been great to get a chip on our shoulder again. We hadn't had a chip on our shoulder like this, to me, since our first year in 2011 as a program, when we were picked to finish 120th in the country. And we finished with a 9-4 record. So that's been a plus to have that chip back on our shoulder. We've got two great players here. You're going to get a chance to visit with today, Dominic Tovell, Michael Quaid. I'm really glad I had a chance to do what I told them that I was going to do for them if they came to the University of Louisiana. One was give them a chance to graduate. Both these guys are on track to graduate on time. The second was a chance to compete for championships. They've won 4 New Orleans Bowl championships. They've won a conference championship. And the next thing was to hopefully give them an opportunity to play at the next level. And I think those guys are going to have a chance to do that too. Another thing I'm also awfully proud of that they had a part of is we just won our second football academic Sun Belt Conference championship back-to-back, and we're excited about that, and that's because of their hard work. You know, of all the Group 5 teams, we've got the 5th most wins as a program in the last 4 years of all the teams in the Group 5, so we think we've laid a great foundation. Now, where do we go from there? How do we get better? How do we improve? Well, we think the foundation is there. The things that we're fixing to do, I think, are going to help us in the future as we continue the process of becoming a championship program. Some of the things we're doing is what Scott Farmer has done for our program, and our president, Dr. Savoy, our athletic director, Scott Farmer. The week before the Kentucky game, we'll be moving into a brand new 100,000 square foot facility, which will aid in recruiting, which will also help us train our current student athletes even at a higher level. So that is a very a big thing that we're looking forward to. Our players are extremely excited. I know I'm excited about moving into that new facility. Now, moving on to this season. Terrence Broadway is not here today at Media Day. Unfortunately, you know, starting quarterbacks eventually move on. And so now we've got the challenge of finding a new starting quarterback. We've got 3 candidates. Don't ask me today who the starter is going to be. When you find out, will be the same time that Mark Stoops at Kentucky finds out, when we run out on the field for the first play of the game. So, but we do like those guys. They're different. One can throw, one can pass. They're both very talented. Elijah McGuire returns in the backfield. We had a great tandem last year, 1-2 tandem with him and Alonzo Harris. Alonzo Harris is now obviously with the Green Bay Packers. But we have a lot of kids in the backfield that's played an awful lot in the last 3 years with Montrell Carter, Ephraim Reed, Torrey Pierce, and then a talented freshman. So excited about our backfield. Offensive line, to me, brings back a lot of experience. We are on the break in a new tight end. That's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but the kids have played there too. Receiver core, I think a receiving core is going to be very deep and talented with the return of Jamal Robinson. And then you look on the defense side of the ball, we have a new defensive staff, and I couldn't be more excited about our defensive staff. I think it's the best defensive staff from top to bottom that we've had in 4 years. Melvin Smith, Charlie Harbison come to us as coordinator and co-coordinator. They both coached in the national championship game 2 years ago, so they bring a wealth of experience to our staff along with Mike Lucas and Levon Harbin. So we're really excited about the direction of our defense. I think we're going to be much improved there. I think we're going to be tougher. I think we're going to get more pressure on the quarterbacks, and I think we're going to be hopefully a more balanced team defensively. Special teams, we have another kicker from Australia. I'm still waiting for Mr. Farmer to let me go down and take a home visit. Some of those kids are recruiting out of Australia and Melbourne, but he is going to be an exciting player. Stephen Coots, he's got the strongest leg that I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot. Last year, Daniel Cadona, I thought, was the strongest. He has overtaken that as a true freshman, but he's just going to play in his first college football game here in about 6 weeks, and so we'll see how that goes. So this is an exciting time for our program. It's an exciting time to be in Lafayette with all the success of all our athletic programs this past season. And now as we move forward into 2015. So I'll open up with that and see if anybody's got any questions.
You mentioned expectations and you mentioned chip. Did you guys expect to be picked to win it? And is being picked second enough of a chip?
Well, if you say pick second, is that enough? If you look at a lot of some of the magazines, we've been picked anywhere between fifth, fourth, third, second. And last year, it was all about, everybody was asking all our seniors, are we going to go undefeated? Are we going to win? I'm like, hey guys, whoa, we're getting way out of hand here. We just want to win the first football game, and that's the approach we're taking it. But that is a chip in our program. To me, when we've been the most successful team in the conference as far as total wins, bowl wins, we feel like we've laid a good foundation. We just want to now try to continue to improve as a program, and anything that you can find to put a chip on your shoulder, on your player's shoulder, is always a plus.
Coach, how's it going, buddy?
Good.
What does Brooks Hack bring to the table that Terrence does not? Obviously, Terrence was a top-notch performer, but what does Brooks have that you like in him?
Brooks, a couple things. One, this kid in high school, I think he was like 33-3 as a starting quarterback. He's a winner. He throws a really good ball. And he was put in some situations last year, not just mop-up duty. If you remember the Georgia State game, some other games, he came in some critical times and moved the football team and performed at a high level. And he's had a great off-season too. So he's showed some great leadership. But the other quarterbacks are competing well and doing some of those same things. So I think we got three really talented.
I know you're not going to name the starting quarterback today, but you did say that you might hold up all the way until kickoff for the Kentucky game. Is that actually part of your plan?
Well, the quarterbacks will know, I will know, Coach Johnson will know. As far as everybody else, those are probably the only four people that will know. Some of our team, but today with social media, I don't know, as much as some of our players tweet out, I don't know if I'm going to let some of our other players know. But football's about deception, and so that's one area of deception that hopefully will be somewhat of an advantage, and you need all the advantages you can get here these days in college football. No, have not made a decision, and that is the honest truth there. We have not made a decision. All three quarterbacks will get a chance to compete for the starting job. We'll get an opportunity to go with the ones. They have all three worked hard this summer. They all three deserve that opportunity.
Hey, Coach. Talked about last year how handling expectations was tough for them. What about Elijah McGuire and all the expectations he has as a running back heading into this season?
I hope he handles it well. I think he has so far. I think Elijah, the key to his success so far is he's a very humble player. He's got a great spirit about him. He just loves to compete, and if he can keep his head on straight, he's got a chance to have an outstanding year, and he has a chance to, he's already over 2,000 yards. He's the second player in the history of the school to be able to do that so far, and so Tyrell Fenroy. And so he's got a chance, if he continues to stay healthy over the next 2 years, he'll have a chance to leave UL as an all-time leading rusher in school history. Right.
Coach, you talked about, you heard the commissioner talk about the balance of schedule. Do you like the way it sets up for you guys this year in terms of, one game against Kentucky, but in terms of money games and the mix you guys have this year?
I do. I like our schedule. We do a great job scheduling. Scott Farmer, I think, has got the right recipe for our scheduling. We've played some really tough opponents, but we're also playing, like Commissioner Vincent said, a very balanced schedule. We're playing some tough opponents from the Power 5, then we're playing some other tough opponents from the Elite 5. And so we're excited about that. We've got a home and home that we're returning the trip to Louisiana Tech, and then Akron's returning the trip to us. And so I think that our conference is tough enough. Our conference is deep. It's a talented conference, talented coaches, veteran coaches at every stop. And so it's hard enough within our conference. And then you get to scheduling too many games outside of conference, that makes it that much tougher.
Hey, Coach, up front, what are the benefits of your program having played in a bowl game here 4 straight years? And is there any feeling that it's kind of stale, the fact that you keep coming back here?
Coming to the Superdome and playing on national TV and getting to stay here in New Orleans for a week, don't get stale to me, but we just, it's an honor to go to a bowl, to any bowl. And for us, though, that's a goal of our program. And I make no bones about it. We want to become a BCS Buster program. Now, are we there yet? Obviously, we're not. And it's a process. But if you look at some of the other teams across the country that have done that, you take up Boise, who beat Arizona this year, I think, in the Fiesta Bowl. You know, we played Boise this year. We could, you know, maybe had a chance to win that game and one more. Maybe could that be us? Who knows? But that's what we're aspiring to. And I think with the facility that we just completed and are about to move into, with the support of our administration and our community in Lafayette, and the way our football players are working, the way we're recruiting, that's what we want to get to one day. And we think we're awfully close. But only time will tell, and that's part of the journey. I always tell our players, you know, it's the journey, not the destination. Because if we ever get to that point, we'll want to surpass that. And so we have lofty expectations every year.
Coach, you guys were really excited, over here, Coach. You guys were really excited to get Jamal Robinson back for an extra year. Where's he at mentally and physically, and really what's the ceiling on his season this year?
You know, if he can stay healthy, I think he's got a chance to be one of the top receivers, obviously, not only in the conference, but in the country. I think everybody saw what he could do early in the year with some of the plays that he was making early. It was a big dagger when we lost him. I thought offensively we lost a lot of confidence in our offense when we lost him, because he was a guy that we could go to on third down, that could make some plays, and he could make plays when really wasn't a play there to be made. He made us look like good coaches, and good players do that. And so if he can stay healthy, and I think he's in a good place mentally right now. He's had a good off season, so if he can stay the course and stay healthy, I think he'll really be a big asset for our offense this fall.
Coach, in the back by the cameras. You mentioned the total wins, the bowl wins. Last year you got a chance to play one of the two new members of the conference in App State, so I haven't played Georgia Southern. What is the addition of some teams that were able to compete right away? What is that going to do to the ability for your program to be consistent year in, year out?
Well, I know this, and I told everybody last year, everybody I talked to about Appalachian State and Georgia Southern joining our league, and I told them right away, these two teams are going to compete at a high level and for a championship from day one, because both those programs had done it in a different conference. And just because they were changing conferences doesn't change that they know how to win. And I think we saw that last year. And they really added to the depth of this conference, and they just made it a better conference. And so it's a challenge, though, each time you come into anybody's stadium in this conference and in this league. It's a challenge each week.